Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'd like to just start off by asking you to look at the image on the screen there and place your bets as to who you would think would win this fight. Would it be the little old granny on the left or the 3 Dalek machines on the right? I'll come back to that later on. So my name's Katie Mowat, and I'm here to talk about social and commerce, how knitting grannies are going digital. If anyone wants to ask me any questions via Twitter, then please go ahead. So I thought I'd start out by talking a little bit about my background and where and how I fell in love with knitting. Then a bit about my company, Grannies, Inc., and then my view on the post-digital fashion industry. So a bit about myself and my background. I guess it all started in a place called Santa Cruz, which is about an hour south of San Francisco in the Silicon Valley. I was there studying for a year as part of my degree in computer science. And in California in 2003, knitting was huge. There were men doing it, women doing it, celebrities doing it, everyone was knitting. And the girls in the apartment next door to mine would get together and hold regular knitting circles. They'd be there gossiping and drinking wine, all the while creating these wild and wonderful pieces of knitting. I was intrigued, and I angled myself an invite and soon became a regular at these knitting circles. I can't describe to you the kind of satisfaction I felt when I completed my first knitted scarf. Although highly flawed, I think I probably wore that scarf every day. And being able to answer, well, actually, I made it myself, when people were asking me where I got it from, gave me a certain amount of elation. So from that point onwards, I knew that I had the skills to, 1, design my own knitwear, and 2, turn it into reality. So my company, in 2009, I set up a company called Grannies, Inc. And to save me a few words and give you something a bit more entertaining than my voice alone, I thought I'd show you a quick video about who we are and what we do. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of who we are and what we do, without me having to go into it. But in short, I guess our mission is to be the greatest bespoke knitwear company in the world by inspiring customers to design their own knitwear and have it handmade by an eagerly awaiting granny. So how I came up with the idea, a question I'm asked all the time. I guess looking back, it's fairly easy to see where the idea to offer design your own beanies came from, my love of skiing and my love of knitting. So I thought that, I mean, amongst all the people I know, snow sports enthusiasts are amongst the most individual people. And slopestyle fashion was fast becoming a trend. So I set about developing a website where you could go on and it had a Flash-embedded editor where you could design your own beanie, where people could go on and kind of create their own designs, be who they wanted to be. Then I had to go about finding some knitters to do the knitting. And when you think knitting, you think Grannies. I sourced my first few online. And ever since we've had some good PR, they've actually come to us now. And I get emails quite regularly from people wanting to knit for us. They're perfect. Grannies are just perfect for my business model. They've got time on their hands. They love knitting, and they are really good at it. It's just perfect. So I decided that they were going to become my purple cow. And for those of you who don't know what I mean by a purple cow, then I suggest you read the book by Seth Godin on the subject. How remarkable would it be to offer people the opportunity to design their own knitwear and have it handmade for them by a granny of their choice? And how remarkable would it be to give grannies a whole new family of people to knit for when their own might no longer need their expertise? So we launched in London in 2009 in October at the Ski and Snowboard Show, and we sold over 1,200 beanies in our first 4 months. So I just wanted to quickly run through our business processes, and I'm sure some of you would be interested to know how we run day to day. Firstly, customers go onto our website and can use our Flash editor to design their own product. Once they're happy with the design, they're presented with a list of grannies who are available to do the knitting. One of the most key steps in this is relating the buyer to the maker, and this step really does encapsulate that. Next, the pattern is generated, and it's emailed to the granny of choice. Now, if you're imagining a load of old ladies who have trouble using a microwave, let alone the internet, you'd be very wrong. The age of the Silver Surfer is long gone, and all of our grannies are on Facebook. Well, most of our grannies are on Facebook, and they're all computer literate. The granny then does what she knows best and knits the product. And then she signs a label, which is sewn into the inside of a product, again relating the buyer to the maker, creating that social step. Then we do quality check, and it's wrapped up like a present and sent on to the customer. Easy as that. So in the second part of this presentation, I wanted to talk about my view of the post-digital fashion industry. And I guess it's probably best to start with social commerce, since it seems to be the kind of buzzword, the buzz phrase of today. I'm sure you all know what it is, but there's the fairly wordy Wikipedia definition. It's all about rating and sharing and recommending and influencing others via social media. It's most definitely a post-digital concept. It provides a digital platform for us to do what we already do really naturally in our everyday lives, which is to share. And it points to an attitude that is more about being human than it is being digital. Now, we do have a strategy in social commerce, but I wouldn't say we're excellent at it. You know, it's not our forte. So I think it's probably best that I go on and talk to you about how social and e-commerce can be related in different ways in terms of Grannies, Inc. So let's have a look at the social aspects of Grannies, Inc. We connect real-world grannies to online shoppers and vice versa. By asking the buyer to select their maker, it really connects them socially. It's amazing the bond that people can put on that. And we also create a great value to the grannies in the fact that, you know, we're engaging them in today's digital society and giving them a feeling of self-purpose and usefulness that they might not have already had. We also allow the prosumer to be the designer. Now, there's many a definition of prosumer. In my case, I think of it as the proactive consumer, somebody that takes an active role in the products that they wish to purchase. how much more of an active role can you have in the products you want to purchase than to have actually designed them yourself? One of the key learnings, I think, in my business so far is that something like 96% of the people that come to our website and purchase from us design their own, rather than choosing anything from our collection. So that tells me, why bother? Why even bother spending any time doing the collection when everyone wants to design their own? So we are dropping our collections later this year. And the last point is our focus on handmade. Now, handmade works for us in two different ways. Firstly, it attracts the type of customer that wants the personality behind a handmade product, the uniqueness, the charm. And secondly, it just provides a really perfect production model in terms of one-off designs. I think you've got to be careful when it comes to handmade. And I think when people want to buy handmade, they generally just don't want to buy mass-made. It's not that they really care about the fact that it might be made using a machine. I think it's just the one-off aspect. So I'd be careful when evaluating for yourself the actual value of handmade and whether made to order might be more appropriate. So I just thought I'd introduce a few brands, not introduce, you probably know them all, but some brands that inspire me. They're doing things in a really post-digital way, I think, and shaping the future of fashion. Firstly, Westfield shopping mall in Stratford in London. They're kind of treasure trove of post-digital marketing concepts. It's amazing. They're newly launched, and they've launched something called styling cubes, where a shopper can go in, and they're presented with all that season's top buys, all on one LCD touchscreen. The customer can then, or the shopper can then drag and drop any of those articles of clothing they like into kind of personalized mood board, which is then emailed to them with details of where you'd find it in the mall. So it just saves you having to trawl around for something that you already knew you wanted. It's amazing. It's really good. I recommend anyone visiting there. The next one is Trunk Club. Now, I've only come across this recently, but I really hope it comes to the UK soon. It's based in Chicago. They're kind of a personal shopping website that connect men that don't like to shop with stylists via Skype generally. And the stylist gets to know the customer's style and sends him a trunk every so often of hand-selected clothes, which he tries on, pays for what he wants, and then sends back free of charge what he doesn't. He then provides feedback on what worked and what didn't via Skype. It's amazing. It's connecting real-world fashion to men that don't like to shop via the internet without them having to shop. Really good, really great idea. And lastly, Converse. I mean, who doesn't love Converse? They've been doing so much right for so long. They've been, allowing people to customize their shoes for a long time on their website. Very successful venture for them. And I believe they're trying something called Made by Facebook at the moment. They're trialing it, which looks like it's going to be allowing people to design their own shoes, sell them to friends, and even have their own sort of shop front, similar to the Spreadshirt idea. I can't wait to see that launch. I really can't. So just to recap on what I've been talking about today and give you a bit of advice from me on, how you can be a bit more social. Number one, I think, is find your granny. And by that, I mean your purple cow, what's remarkable about you. Find out what's remarkable and flaunt it. Second is embrace social commerce, because it's not going to go away. It's already doing such great things for the fashion industry. And when Juicy Couture, for instance, when they added social sharing facilities to their website, their conversion rate went up by 160%. Number three is be as transparent as you can be in terms of your supply and production model. If you can't be transparent about how you're going about making the products you produce, then you've got to ask yourself why, right? And your customers will start to do that as well. What are you hiding, And lastly, if you can, it's not going to work for every brand, but add an element of customization to the products you offer, and services as well. I think your customer will thank you if they can have an element of customization. So lastly, I just go back to the original slide, and who would win this fight? Well, obviously, it's going to be the granny, right? Obviously. Why? Because they've got the power to turn tomorrow's fashion dreams into reality. And for those of you who did vote for the Daleks on the right, then shame on you. Thank you very much.